Hello, we're live and welcome to President Question Time. I'm Kylie Wingfield, my pronouns are he, him, and I am the CEO of the University for the Creative Arts Students' Union. We have three attendees here, three nominees, Joshua Singh Hill from President Canterbury, Quinn Walker going for the role of President Canterbury also, and Amber Wright going for the role of President Farnham. I will introduce what you can expect from this session, and then I will ask three questions. Each presidential candidate will have the opportunity to answer all three of those questions. We'll then ask some specific manifesto questions related to each of the candidates, and then there's an opportunity for those viewing to ask questions, and then we will wrap it up. So as I mentioned, I'm Kylie. I'm the CEO of the University for the Creative Arts Students' Union. This is my first President's Question Time, and I'm very excited to be here. There are 10 campus officers positions up for election. Today we're just focusing on the presidents, and there are three positions. There's President Epsom, President Canterbury, and President Farnham. I'll tell you a little bit more about the role of a full-time elected sabbatical officer. The Students' Union presidents, they play a vital role in leading the union, ensuring that students are represented, advocated for, and remain central to decision-making at every level within the university and beyond. As a key leader, the president supports the strategic direction of the union and drives initiatives that improve the student experience, foster positive change, and elevate the student voice locally and national. This is a unique opportunity to lead a registered charity, represent approximately 6,000 students, and oversee impactful projects and campaigns. The role also offers significant professional and personal development, equipping you, the candidate, with key transferable skills and leadership experience. So to recap, you get to represent the student voice to the university locally and nationally, you defend student rights, and you campaign for positive change. I'll also encourage students that are watching to review other candidates' manifestos. We're going to meet Quinn, Joshua, and Amber shortly. But if you go to ucasu.com/elections, that's ucasu, you get to represent the student voice to the university locally and nationally. You defend students' rights and you campaign for positive change. So now we're going to get to the questions. We have three set questions that the candidates have received in advance. Each candidate has up to 90 seconds to respond to each question. I'll let you know when you're running out of time. And it concludes with questions specifically about the manifesto pledges. So candidates, could you please introduce yourself, and then we'll go to the questions. Joshua. Oh, you're on mute. Yeah, could you say your name, your pronouns, or how you like to be identified, the course you're studying and the role you're going for?
Of course. So my name is Joshua Singh Hill. I go by he, him. I'm studying architecture in my third year at the Canterbury campus, and I'm currently a campus officer. I'm running for student president.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joshua. I'm going to go down my screen to Quinn. Oh, we can't hear you, Quinn. I'm going to go to Amber, and hopefully we can get your mic working, Quinn. Amber? And also can't hear Amber. Furious typing. Quinn, back to you.
Oh, wait, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Quinn.
Yeah, sorry, I was like max muted. Hello, everyone. My name is Quinn. I'm a BA Visual Communication student, and I'm going for President Canterbury, and my pronouns are they, she.
Amazing. Thank you, Quinn. And let's hope that we can hear from Amber now. Yep, I think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Brilliant. Sorry about that. My name is Amber Wright. I am a third year comic and concept art student at the University for the Creative Arts, Farnham. My pronouns are she, her.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Amber. Thank you, Quinn, and thank you, Joshua. You know, there's no right or wrong answers here. This is an opportunity for you just to share what you believe to be true for yourself. So The order for the first question will be Quinn, Joshua, and then Amber. The question is, the cost of living is a significant concern for students. What new initiatives that do not already exist would you propose implementing at UCA? I'll repeat that one more time, and then we'll go to Quinn. The cost of living is a significant concern for students. What new initiatives that do not already exist would you propose implementing at UCA? Quinn, you've got 90 seconds.
Lovely. So I think first and foremost, we need to be launching some kind of information campaign to unite all aspects of the cost of living crisis. I think as it stands, UCA has a pretty segmented way of dealing with it, and I think we need to unite the gateway services with what the student union offers, with what is external to the university, because ultimately not everything will be consistent for everyone, not everyone will need to access everything, but having a united platform and having clear communication about what's available will enable students to access that help a lot easier. I think something that we could do that would also be really simple and really effective is I think we could start a student-led communal cupboard outside of all the union offices. This gives students the opportunity to kind of create a campus food drive. These aren't going to be resources that will solve the cost of living crisis, but I think the foundation of UCA's student body is that we're a community, and I think that every moment that we don't utilize a strong connection, we'll share, and the consideration we'll have for each other. I think it's just a waste. I think we could absolutely be doing more students and uplifting each other. So I think a cupboard would be a fabulous start with the union support.
Excellent. You've got another 10 seconds, Quinn, if you want
to. I guess, like I said, just that communication. I think students just need to know what's available in one location. I think it's too spread out right now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Quinn. Thank you for your answer. Just to say, I will let you know if you've got 30 seconds left, 10 seconds left, but please do use all the time that you want to. Okay, let's go to the same question then. We're going to Joshua. To read the question one more time, the cost of living is a significant concern for students. What new initiatives that do not already exist would you propose implementing at UCA? Over to you, Joshua.
Wonderful. So I believe that the cost of living it's incredibly difficult, and it's a very large problem that needs to be solved. Now, obviously, we won't be able to solve it, but we will be able to help. And I think one of the most important aspects is something that we all use, and it's the cafeteria's food system. So I outlined it in my manifesto, but for this question, I think that given how much food is wasted on campus, I believe that there is a way, there is a strategy that we can implement so that we can either reduce the amount of food that is wasted and wasting people's money, or we can reduce the costs overall so that it's more financially efficient to people. Now, in terms of courses that require materials, whether it's fashion, architecture, fine art, the likes, I think that working with the technicians and the academics to repurpose materials that are no longer used, or to bring in materials that are laying on the side of the road, whether it be wooden pallets, pieces of recycled paper, whatever it may be. I believe implementing those are incredibly important because materials cost so much for students. I think focusing on cheaper food and cheaper materials when we have the capabilities to provide them are the most important. That's me.
Excellent, Joshua. Thank you very much. So same question then to Amber. The cost of living is a significant concern for students. What new initiatives that do not already exist would you propose implementing at UCA? Over to you, Amber.
So I do think this is a particularly large problem, considering that we're living in Surrey, one of the most expensive parts of the country to live in. So even things like essentials, like toiletries, with our main local supermarket being a Waitrose, you can understand how that takes a serious toll on people's finances. So I think having better access to essentials, whether it's through schemes like a food waste scheme via the canteen or maybe other local establishments, better knowledge of where you can find cheaper food. So I think, like how I highlighted in my manifesto, revamping the Discord and making easier communication across courses and across campuses, where we could share part-time job availability, make use of services such as Too Good To Go, and also like the clothes swap initiative that they do in the library. I think those are super successful. I think more opportunities like that, particularly given even the cost of the charity shops in Farnham being so high. What we could be doing to sort of improve access to essentials. Those are the main concerns, whether it be food, clothing, or toiletries. I think the other candidate suggestions were really, really great for this one. I did also write on my notes, perhaps like a canteen waste scheme where like people can access food waste from the canteen.
So that is the first question, all done and wrapped up. We're now going on to the next question. The order for this will be Amber, Quinn, then Joshua. That's Amber, Quinn, then Joshua. I'll read the question twice and then we'll go to Amber. The university has recently announced staff reductions under the Professional Services Review. What are your primary concerns regarding its impact on students, and how would you communicate student feedback to the university in a constructive manner? I will just say that this is proposed staff reductions at this time. And I'll read it again. The university has recently announced proposed staff reductions under the Professional Services Review. What are your primary concerns regarding its impact on students, and how would you communicate student feedback to the university in a constructive manner? I'm going to Amber.
So I think this is a really concerning issue, especially given the proposed cuts to the well-being staff, knowing that this is an arts university and has a very high number of people who study here who are members of the LGBT community, who might face discrimination in other aspects of life, and people who struggle with their mental health as well as any other reason that you might go to the well-being services. And I think human communication is such an important thing to have at a university like this, and any university for that matter. So I fully understand the upset over these proposed cuts, and I think we need to focus on keeping humans in our university as much as possible, especially valuable staff members who have the ability to reduce the stress of university life for people. It's an extremely important issue and a very prevalent one at the moment. And it's really important to speak to a wide range of different people and hear their opinions on this as well. But I think most people's opinions from speaking to other students are pretty unanimous.
Thank you very much. Let's now go to Quinn. Same question.
Cool. So I'd say my primary concerns about this are the lack of consideration for student input. I am completely aware that, the leaders of the university are not obligated to seek out our opinions, but I do think when they are proposing large-scale change that will predominantly and disproportionately affect neurodivergent and disabled students, it felt very careless to not have seen any consultation. So yeah, my primary concern is that it will have this disproportional effect. I'm really worried that some students are going to see massive changes if it goes forward in the way that they can engage with their courses. I personally know that in first year, I would have really struggled without my inclusion advisor. I know the impact that these staff have because I see it every day. We see them nominated for union awards year after year because their impact is invaluable. Even suggesting that they are less important than the lecturers, I think cuts them short of like what their responsibilities are to us. So I think the kind of outpouring of support that we've seen, the action that we've seen at Farnham, the 870 responses to the survey that the SU put out speak the mind of the students very clearly. I think we have a unanimous opinion on this, and I do think it would be detrimental for the higher ups to disregard that, because I do think it is an issue that could push students away from the university. Wait.
I put myself on mute.
Oh my God, I thought that was me.
Those watching on YouTube, I've been informed I'm echoing, so I've tried to mute myself to help that. Joshua, same question to you now.
I mean, it's been covered pretty well, but it needs repeating. It's so crucial. People, it's what makes us, and not consulting the students is important. It's something that we are a bunch of art students, and we know what we're talking about. We've come here for an education. We're paying so much money, and a lot of us more than others, and some of us through difficult financial situations anyway. So if you're going to come into university and your lecturers are either not in or they're too thinly spread out amongst these cohorts, which are growing, especially following the COVID backlog, then what are you supposed to do? What can you do? You know, the UCA it's wonderful at being a community. It's wonderful at allowing people to feel like themselves. But if we can't better ourselves through our academic education, then what is the point? You know, we need to focus on maintaining that bridge between bettering ourselves as individuals and bettering our education through those staff members. They're crucial. I mean, if this sort of education, if this education wasn't important, then what would the point for university even be? You know, if we're learning all of this and say we wanted to become lecturers, well, this field isn't very accommodating if they won't listen to our students. So it's time to be heard through the right courses of action.
And that's it. Thank you very much. So we're going to go on to the third question. To recap, Amber raised mental health, need for human connection, Quinn raising neurodivergencies and consultation, Joshua also echoing consultations, the cost of the courses and staff reduction. Okay, let's go to the next question. Number 3. And the order of this will be Joshua, Amber, then Quinn. That's Joshua, Amber, then Quinn. Question is, how would you represent conflicting opinions on contentious topics such as artificial intelligence in the creative industries? That is, how would you represent conflicting opinions on contentious topics such as artificial intelligence in the creative industries? Joshua, back to you.
I remember having this conversation in my course. We all sat down, we had a little workshop, and it was our opinions on AI. And I believe that the conclusion I came to was that it's important to not negate any side of the argument. You know, I may have my own opinion, everyone may have their own opinion, and it's true that this incoming wave of AI and how smart it's getting and how it's threatening to make a lot of our fields redundant is terrifying. I'm scared. My peers are scared. My friends are scared. But that doesn't mean that we would then have the right to silence those that believe differently. So in terms of voicing those concerns, I believe it's fair, regardless of the matter, to allow for equal platform. But I also believe it's important to understand how crucial this education means to all of our lifestyles. It's not just our jobs we're cutting, it's our children's jobs, or it's our parents, it's our friends, it's our families. It affects every single one of us. And I think taking all of the information into account is the most important thing. Educating ourselves on the matter as best as we can so that we don't just have an empty opinion is also incredibly important, whether that means we hold workshops or classes, whatever it needs to be is what it should be.
Thank you, Joshua. So same question again then to Amber.
So I think education around the topic of AI is really, really important at this point in time. There is a lot of misinformation going around about what AI actually is, how it actually works. Is it capable of creating original work? And even though I do believe that AI has its tools and I can see all sides of the argument, I know there are a lot of conflicting opinions around this, but I think the main issue is focusing on generative AI and how it is unable to create original content without copywriting or taking the work of other artists at this point in time. I was at the protest yesterday in Farnham, the Chalk the Quad. I was amazed by the turnout. I think it's great to see so many people coming to speak up about this topic, and I would aim to represent the majority as a student president. I think that is the responsibility of the student president. But I do believe that there are times and places where AI can be used as a tool, but I think it's important to create a set of guidelines to help people to understand how AI actually works and when it's appropriate to be used as a tool and when it is effectively piracy.
And then we move over to Quinn for the same question.
Lovely. So I think what's important about representing difficult topics is that we utilize a lot of different techniques. I think what happened in Farnham yesterday was a fantastic example of the student voice being very prevalent. And it's been amazing just to see the kind of widespread impact of the survey, of the communication between campuses. Like, it's crazy as a Canterbury student to have had any kind of involvement with Farnham students in this way. But I think the most important thing I found as a campus officer is we've got to use the facts we have, because we've got so many of them, but we also have so much evidence on student opinion. And as boring as it might seem to the average student, so much positive change can be made through union council. I really do believe that, like, filing motions and discussing and getting the student opinion and then channeling that into policy is the way forward. Like, at last union council, I proposed a motion to ban generative AI within the union. And that was a resounding pass because we knew that the students wanted that. The students don't want generative AI in our university, but the way to affect change at the top is to start at the bottom and change our systems fundamentally. And I think that the best way to do that is for students to exercise their voice and pass that along to us as student leaders so that we can impact internal change.
Quinn. We now move on to manifesto-specific questions. So it'll be same format again, 90 seconds. 90 seconds to 2 minutes. You have up to 2 minutes this time. We're going to start with Amber, and then we'll go to Joshua, and then we'll end on Quinn. So, Amber, I'll read your question twice, and then you'll have up to 2 minutes to respond. So, Amber, your manifesto highlights cross-course and cross-campus communication. What do you perceive to be the main concerns, and how will you overcome them?
So my reason for this being on my manifesto mainly was, even though I think UCA does a very good job of being a community as it is, there is no single platform for which people from different courses and different campuses to communicate with each other in one place. And it might seem trivial on paper, but I think a revival of the Student Union Discord, from which some channels haven't been spoken in since 2023 when I last looked at it, I think that would be a really great opportunity to create more channels for people to communicate across courses and across campuses as well. For example, I think having some channels where people can specifically ask for advice in an area outside of their specialism would be really helpful and make great use of all of the resources that the university has to offer. Because I do think there's a lot of people on specific courses that never really learn like what the university has to offer outside of their building or their resources that they use on the regular. And I think this would be also a great place for students to voice their opinions and to communicate with the campus officers and with the student union presidents to voice their concerns as well. And it's all just about how we manage that, how we moderate that, and how we create clear channels of communication for people to have these discussions. Oh, I think you're still muted.
I am still muted. You've got 30 seconds left. I was saying if there was anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, I just feel like I've never been to the Canterbury or Epsom campuses, which I've been in Farnham the full 3 years of my degree, and even though I know a few people from there, I think it would be great to learn more about what actually happens, maybe encourage people to attend events at different unis, and I think student-led events are also a really important thing that we need to be cultivating as well.
Time. Thank you very much, Amber. We will now move to Joshua. Joshua, I'll read your question twice and then over to you. So you haven't submitted a manifesto to publish online, but Joshua, you have posters which state the following: better experiences in the lounge and cafeteria. Please could you outline what you mean by this, including challenges you may face and how you will navigate these?
There we go. Thank you. Absolutely. So that is one of my points, and it wasn't posted online. That is through fault of my own. But on this manifesto, I did talk about these better experiences because I think that student experience is 90% of everyone's lives at universities. There's the education, but that comes into the student experience, because we could all be told to read books. That could be the 3 years of our course. Read books, do work, get graded. That's not fun. That's not fun. And we're all still young. So I think having fun is important, regardless of your age at university. University is a space for this sort of fun and comfortable experience, and we should be providing that. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that there have been a lot of aspects in this university that have been that, but there could be more. The food, which I've spoken about previously, it's something that at least 80% of our students use. We all want lunch, we all want snacks, we all want a little pick-me-up, maybe a coffee, maybe a tea. But the spaces in which we eat are so widely dispersed. Now, I am only speaking for Canterbury, of course, because I haven't been to Farnham or Epsom myself. But here in Canterbury, the cafeteria, whilst it can be a really nice space, especially when it's sunny and the doors are open, it's not necessarily somewhere where people want to spend lots of time. And same with the lounge. It's the union space, but it's not as utilized as it once was, or what it could be. I think what I'd do is I'd work with students. I'd work with students the most because they're the most important. I mean, they're the people that come here. They're the people that experience these spaces. So working hand in hand, one-on-one with these individuals is, I think, the only way forward to improving that experience, whether it's holding events, whether it's creating a more comfortable space, whether it's providing more greenery.
Sure.
That's all of it.
Here we go. Thank you very much. So just to recap, Quinn's manifesto point focusing on sorry, I've lost my notes. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Hang on, we haven't gone to Quinn yet, have we? That's why I couldn't find my note. Quinn, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, your manifesto proposes the formation of a student-led events committee. Could you elaborate on the purpose of this committee and how you plan to oversee its working alongside your presidential duties? I'll repeat it one more time.
Absolutely. So I am a committee leader in Canterbury. I've run 5 societies during my time at UCA. So I think I am probably the best person to tell you about how events work, especially on the smaller campuses. Right now, we've kind of got this weird gap where Farnham has Glasshouse. So Farnham have the means to put on incredible student-led events, which often link to clubs and societies, but are not exclusive to them. In Canterbury, we don't have the means to do that. right now, if you're not a committee leader, you will most likely not host an event. Even events that have been somewhat independent of committees have been funded by societies. And I think that part of the student experience needs to be that we need to be given the reins a little bit more. Every student-led event that we've done this year has been phenomenal. Sip and Paint, Drag Quiz, like all of these events in Canterbury have been amazing. But if we centralize each campus into a committee, then we have students making the decisions about what we spend the union money on for events. We have students who get valuable experience that will help them after they graduate. And it's just really fun. And it would be a great way to re-incentivize like putting events on in the lounge and in Epsom and in Farnham. And I just think it would be a really great way to connect the union with regular students who maybe don't want to be in a society. That was me.
Much, Quinn. Now I will do a little recap. Yes, Amber. Amber focusing there on communication with the revival of the SU Discord. Joshua focusing on the lounge, utilising that space to work with students, and Quinn giving the reins for student-led events with the implementation of committees. Okay, we're going to move on now to the next section. We've got some questions from the student body. Here we go. So these are questions, of course, that you have not seen before. So I will ask it to the floor, and please do jump in and answer it when ready and if desired to. Yes. First question. How would you ensure when representing the student voice to the university that you are representing all UCA students and not just those you have studied with or those with similar experiences to you? I will repeat that. I'll put it in our chat as well, and I hope you can see it there. How will you ensure when representing the student voice to the university that you are representing all UCA students and not just those you have studied with or those with similar experiences to you? There we go. I've put that in the chat. So please, whoever wants to take it, please
I'll
do.
go first if that's cool.
No.
Lovely. It's going to be a boring answer. I can't lie and say that it's glamorous. Canvassing has always been a big thing. When we were doing the AI motion, we went out, we asked the students what they thought. I'm a big fan of face-to-face as well, so I like to go around. As president, I'll have freedom to move across all 3 campuses, which will be so fantastic because I love Farnham campus, I love Epsom campus. I would like to be there more. But ultimately, it's about having the figures in front of us. And I think partially it is the responsibility of the students to engage. Like, we really encourage you to come to union council, spectate, tell us what you think, fill out the surveys. Like, I think this past survey for the professional services review has kind of proved the power of the student voice. We've got like 900 responses. That is such a huge weight. I just think that, you know, as long as you guys are telling us what you want, we can represent that. We just need you to talk to us. And I think I will endeavor to make sure that there are as many avenues as possible for you to communicate to me and the other presidents and the campus officers. You know, we have so many systems. We have course reps, we have campus officers, we have union council, we have AGM. There's so many opportunities, but I will make sure that those are as accessible to you as humanly possible. And if you have concerns about the way that information is being fed back to the union, come and talk to us about it. Even if I'm not president next year, I'm going to be a campus officer. I fucking hope. And I will continue to endeavor to be there for any student that does not feel like their voice is being represented. That is super, super, super important to me. So yeah, that is all I have for that.
Question is in the chat there if either Amber or Joshua want to answer. Go for it, Joshua.
So I believe that, hold on, let me just double check this question. Make sure I got the right thing. Yes. Yes, so this has come up a few times in as my time as a campus officer and as a course rep, is that it's fundamental to include everyone. I mean, it doesn't need to be said, but a lot of the time you can have someone who might get in through a popularity vote, and then they just stick to their friends, and it's not very efficient. It's not very effective either, because a lot of the time it might be the people who either don't know you well enough or maybe aren't as comfortable coming forward, especially in an open room. So what I would do in this situation, if I was president, is I would do what I've been doing as course rep, which is you go to classes, and there's usually a time when the whole year is there for tutorials or meetings or lectures, whatever it may be, and you just put hand up, just what's it called? The stem, the olive branch, I believe. I think it's called the olive branch. You put the little branch out. You put your hand out. You just say, "Look, I'm here, and here's where you can reach me if you're not comfortable coming forward in this situation." But I think working alongside academics as well, because a lot of the academics do care about the students, but working alongside them to reach as many people when they're all here, because it's important to find people when they're attending, is the only way to reach all of the students instead of just the few.
It's time. Thank you, Joshua. Amber, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think my main priority to achieve this would be creating as many avenues for communication as possible. Obviously, I do enjoy being in person as well and talking to people. Like yesterday, I was going around the quad. I was there at the Chalk the Quad. I was talking to people, but I understand not everybody likes that, especially not everybody likes being approached and asked for their opinion. It can seem a little bit daunting. And I think, like I said, with reviving the Discord, that could also be a great way, as Discord is a platform that a lot of students do use. I'm aware not all students. I think it would be important to do that across different social media platforms as well, such as like maybe the Instagram, as well as through emails, sharing around surveys. But yeah, I think it's really important to just try and find as many possible avenues for communication and also talking to individual course leaders and finding out what their experience and what their opinion is of their course and their students that they're teaching. I think there's a lot of valuable information that they can offer there, that I think we need to be communicating with individual course leaders more to understand what are the opinions across courses that maybe you're not quite so familiar with.
Amber. So we've got a few more questions. Just to recap those ones then, in answer to that question, we had Quinn highlighting canvassing, accessible avenues of communication, Joshua putting out the olive branch, speaking to academics, and Amber, more avenues of communication, such as Discord and social media, as well as talking to course leaders. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We've got a few more. What I will do is I'll put them all in the chat, as we will be able to work through them, so you can see ahead if you want to. Oh gosh, that's come out not looking very nice. I will break that up. Okay, here's the first question. I've heard a lot of friends working as a student ambassador struggling with their hours, especially if for some it's their sole income. What would you do to increase student work opportunities? I'll read that again. I've heard a lot of my friends working as student ambassadors struggling with their hours, especially as for some it's their sole income. What would you do to increase student work opportunities? Whoever would like to take the floor, please take the floor. Go for it.
Can I? This is something that I'm actually quite passionate about talking to other students about. As somebody who, for my previous year of uni, I was working a part-time job, running my own business and doing a full-time degree. And it was so exhausting. I think this is something that's really important to be talked about, how sometimes even balancing just one job is not paying the bills. I think it's really important that we students talk to each other more about job opportunities and trying to prioritize like helping students to get into those jobs, and also talking about what workplaces are not good. I know from speaking to people at the uni, there have been a lot of very negative experiences at certain workplaces in Farnham that have led to people not receiving their full pay or having really antisocial hours that are having a negative impact on their studies. And I also think we could be talking more to each other about how to market ourselves to work in our chosen industries ASAP too, and sharing that knowledge of the industry, sharing knowledge of social media platforms and how to market yourself online to try and get additional work alongside that too.
Much. Amber, same question, over to Quinn.
I think it's such a complicated issue because as someone who I've worked as a student ambassador, I've worked kind of within the union as a volunteer, so I kind of do understand how the university functions on a probably more boring level than the average student. So I think there are certain limitations to what can be done, and I appreciate that. However, I do think there are more opportunities that are maybe not specific student ambassador things. I think Creative Futures do a really great job of sourcing employment for students, but I don't think that's widely marketed until you're maybe in second year. But these are opportunities that you can just go for. So I think really highlighting the kind of post-grad, mindset and what they can offer to you is super important. But part of why I'm really passionate about coordinating an events committee is because running events will require staff. If we can organize paid ticketed events, we will be able to afford to employ students. We can maybe reopen the bar and the lounge. We can hire student bartenders. This is all stuff that, like I said, is very, end of the rainbow goals. I'm not going to promise that. However, I will work really hard to exhaust every avenue if that's the direction that students want to go in, because I know how much we value our social spaces. But likewise, if we don't have any money, we kind of can't access those spaces as much. So it's really important that we kind of use all of the resources that we have and push those to the forefront of what students are hearing, but also build new opportunities, hopefully through the union.
Time, Quinn. Joshua, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Yes. I think this would go back to what I spoke about with the lounge previously, and that's working with the students. So quite similar in theory, I guess, would be to the way Amber spoke about the Discord, and it's that sharing of knowledge. It's working with the students who do have jobs. I myself, I'm an ambassador, but I also work part-time outside of the university, and getting that job, it wasn't just as easy as going on LinkedIn or Indeed and these ways that we're told they'll work as long as we have a good enough CVs, as long as you have good enough this. Whilst those do work, it's so heavily saturated given how many students can be in these campuses. So I know in Canterbury we've got 3 universities here. That's a lot of expectations for jobs. And so working with students who are employed to create a network of potential employment, or even improving those experiences in the lounge and opening it up to more than just events, more than just the one night in a month or 2 nights in a week, but every day, just for teas, coffees, something like that, because the space is there, the knowledge is there, the education is shared between all of us. I mean, we're a creative university that spans a breadth of industries. We have the answer, and it's connecting us to get that.
Up. So the question was increasing student work opportunities, Amber highlighting prioritizing students supporting each other. Quinn highlights the postgraduate mindset and running committees to hire staff, and Joshua talks about sharing of knowledge and connecting each other. We've got time for, I do hope, these next 2 questions. It looks like we do. So the next question is, what type of relationship do you think the Students' Union should have with the university? I'll read that one more time. What type of relationship do you think the Students' Union should have with the university?
So this is a hugely loaded question, and once again, I'm not going to give a glamorous answer because it's pretty boring, but it's honest, and I hope that counts for something. I think our responsibility as a union is to have a relationship with the university that allows them to listen to us without compromising on what the students are asking of us. And I think President Cassie and President Charlie have done a phenomenal job in the past year. They've opened avenues of communication. They're in constant communication with people at all levels of the institution. And that is what is important, because even though it seems like maybe we should start at the top with everything, a lot of the time there are people lower down the food chain who can affect massive change. And so I think our role as a student union is to make sure that we are maintaining relationships with all of these different people, and that we're keeping in communication with them consistently, so that at the very least they are hearing our feedback. We obviously can't control if they just are not willing to hear it. We can't control the impact that it has, but our sole job is to represent your interests. And we just have to maintain those relationships. We can't afford as presidents to be antagonistic towards the university, but if you feel antagonistic towards the university, we are obligated to represent that. So that would be my answer to that.
Thank you very much, Quinn. The question again, what type of relationship do you think the Students' Union should have with the university? Joshua.
Okay. It is a very heavy question, because it should be a simple answer. It should just be, we are student union is this, and the university should be this. But unfortunately, it's been seen to have not been working like that. I think what is important is that we don't want the university to ignore the students' union. And what I mean by that is there can be a lot of really passionate feelings about the way that the university is run by the students, and that's always completely valid. It's all justified. There have been a lot of stresses and constraints that have been forced onto the students that they don't deserve, and so they're rightly upset about these things. And as important as it is to communicate that forward, communicating it with the same passion is essentially, it's not serving those students the respect they deserve in a body such as a student union. We're not just a megaphone to, the student union isn't just a megaphone to make these exact points louder. It's a body to allow the students to feel heard in a way that values them as the people that they are, instead of maybe a student, just a student, how some academics might see them. So I think it's playing the game. It's playing the university game for the students.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Amber, would you like to answer this question?
So I personally think that the role of the student union is to pull together all of the ideas from students at the university by being as close to the students as possible and hearing all opinions from different people, and try to offer and voice those opinions, but also try to offer realistic solutions so that students can have their voices heard without it being a bunch of mixed ideas and a bunch of confusion. So I think it is our job, as already stated very well by the other candidates, I think it's our job to filter through all of those opinions and try to come up with realistic solutions that reflect the opinions of the students at the university as well.
Thank you very much, Amber. So my colleague is saying that we perhaps don't have time for any more questions. So the last question is something I put in the chat, but look, it's something to go away and think about. Being a president is an incredibly demanding role. How would you balance your responsibilities in uni meetings alongside being visible and speaking to students in person? It's a good question, but we won't have time to go through it, but I wanted to acknowledge the person that asked it. And for those watching at home or wherever you are that want to be presidents in the future, this is an important thing to reflect on. I will just reflect also back what I just heard from Amber, Joshua and Quinn, the type of relationship that Students' Union should have with the university. Quinn focusing there on the need to have a relationship. The university listens to us and maintaining relationships. Joshua allowing students to feel heard and valued, playing the university game. And Amber being as close to students as possible and filtering through opinions and voicing solutions. This brings us on to the closing of question time. I'd like to thank you all for attending and those who participated with questions through the live stream. Voting opens on the 2nd of April and it closes on the 4th of April. So it's 10 a.m. we open tomorrow, and then the 4th of April we close at 2 p.m. 10 a.m. tomorrow to the 4th of April at 2 p.m. All students enrolled at UCA are eligible to vote. You can vote online at ucasu.com/elections. That's ucasu.com/elections. I personally feel democracy is a very important thing, hence why I'm passionate about my role. So I'd encourage all of those that you are watching to get out and vote, and encourage as many people as you can to vote. I'm going to bring this to a close. I'll just look at my colleague Kat, and I know you're next to Taylor from Student Engagement. Is there anything that I need to say to sum this up, or anything that you'd like to say? No, thumbs up. Okay, so everyone get out and vote. Amber, Quinn and Joshua, we'll look out for you on campus as you campaign, and take care, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.